Hello there and welcome to another video from Change Tips and Tools. Now, I must apologise for my voice. I'm a bit croaky, but I've been struck by the dreaded man flu. Now, my wife and I, we will be celebrating 29 years happily married next month. She's my soulmate, she gave our children life, she's my best friend, and we support each other through everything. Well, she took one look at me, groaned, and said, "Don't be so pathetic, get a grip." I said, "This is the list of jobs you need to do for me in the house this weekend," and then walked away from me. Ah, I love that woman of mine, but I digress. Last month I posted a video called Why I Ditched Pivot Tables for Array Formulas in Excel, and a link to that video can be found in the description. And someone asked me in the comments, why did I not use GROUPBY and PIVOTBY, as these would be quicker? And I agreed with that comment, but I explained these are fairly new functions in Excel 365 and most companies will not have this functionality available for their employees, probably not for the next 12 to 18 months. And the focus of that video was what could be utilised at work. However, GROUPBY and PIVOTBY will be available now on your personal licensed edition of Excel 365 at home, as long as you've been keeping it up to date. So let's explore these functions together, and I'll throw in a trick with slicers for good measure. Let's do this. So here we are, same sort of data setup. The only difference to last time is I've added a month or a date here within my sales data table. So remember, I've got this table design, sales data, and this through Power Query that I showed you in the last video here aggregates all these tables on these tabs, right? So that's where we were last time. So let's use GROUPBY this time. So, and I guess it's quicker than the way that we approached it in the previous video, but also, you know, as I said before, the difference between pivot tables, etc., is that when we refresh the data in this table, is that these arrays will refresh instantaneously. You do not have to refresh them manually or separately. So that's the beauty of these. So let's do GROUPBY first. So I'll put the headings here. So I'm going to do equals GROUPBY. So the row fields is going to be the month here. The next argument is going to be the value. So I'm going to take from the unit sold here and just drag across and take it to the profit. And as far as the action I want to do is I want to sum it up. So I'm going to do sum, but you can see there's lots of other options in here as well. So I'm going to use sum. My next argument is, do I want field headers? I'm going to do 0 for no. Now, the total depth is the subtotals and grand totals. So I want a grand total at the bottom. So I'm going to select that. As far as my sort order, I'm going to sort it by the first column. So I've got in here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be column 1, and I'm going to sort it ascending, which is 1. If it was descending, it'd be -1. If I wanted to sort it in column 2, then I'd use column 2 for ascending, or -2, and so on. And then as far as the filter rate, I'm not going to use that argument yet. So I'm going to close the bracket on the sort order there. I'm just going to close the bracket and hit return. And there you go. There's my GROUPBY. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to highlight this column, do Control 1. I'm going to make that a number, comma, get rid of any zeros, no decimal places. And this here, I will just highlight those 3 columns, and then on the home ribbon, I can just do currency, and it will default to my my system currency here in the UK, so that'd be pounds. So I've now got that. Now again, I'd probably want to do some conditional formatting to get this totals line to be bold and italic. So again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to, so that is cell L2, remember that one. I'm going to do highlight across to profit, and then I'm going to do, holding the shift button, do page down, just to allow for some growth in the table. I'm then going to do conditional formatting on the home ribbon. New rule, I'm going to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And I'm going to do equals if L2 equals total, and I'm putting it, and I need to put that in speech marks. Total. If that equals total, then it's true and I want to do something, otherwise it's false and we do nothing with the formatting. Now, the thing is, I want to change this L2 because I want to make the column absolute. So I'm going to press F2, which will then allow me, so that's the function 2 key, which then allows me to move without the formula changing. So just before that L, and I'm going to put a $sign just before it. Okay. I'm then going to go to format. I want it to be bold and italic. And as far as the border is concerned, I'm going to put a dark green, use that line there and do the top. Yeah, and I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to click OK again. If we go up, and there we go. Now, part of the problem now here is you can see the way that it's sorting it, because it's treating these months as text, and it's sorting it alphabetically, ascending, and I don't. I want it to be in actual month order, which is why I've got this here. So if I then change this, so my first argument, row fields, I'm going to change from month to the date field here. Yeah, and hit return. So now you can give me the serial number for these dates, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that column. I'm going to do Control 1 to bring up my formatting. I'm going to select date, then I'm going to do custom, then I'm going to change this just to be 4 M's for the month, 2, 3, 4, so it's a long month, and do OK. Then I'm just going to align them to the left, and there you go. That now works, so it's now got those in order. So let's take this now, and again I'm just going to the right here, and I'm just going to do page down, holding down the shift button. I'm going to do Control Copy, and I'm going to go to my summary sheet because that's where I want it. So you can see I've set some things up here, and I'm just going to paste that there. So I'm going to do Control V. Now you'll see that the conditional formatting has not worked. So if I just then go to the right, and the reason being is, remember, the column was absolute, so it's looking at column L, and we now need to change that conditional formatting to look at column C. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right click on it, but no, I don't need to do that. I'm going to select any cell in there, and I'm going to do conditional formatting. Sorry, you can tell I'm ill, man flu, it's pretty bad, folks. I'm going to do manage rules on conditional formatting, and I'm just going to edit this rule, and I'm going to change that L to the C there, and then hit return and click OK, and there you go, all fixed. Now you'll see these slices. These slices are connected to this table here, right? And if I click bill, you'll notice nothing's changing on here, but if I go to the sales data, it's filtered on bill's data. If I go back to the summary and I do widget A there as well for bill, again you can see it's filtered that information, right? So if I just clear those filters, but the slicer is not reacting. So here's the trick with slicers on GROUPBY. So what I'm going to do is, remember I said there was a filter array. Let's go into that argument. So I'm going to do comma, and this filter array argument, I'm going to use the by row with the lambda function and the subtotal function. So as you know, the subtotal function, it will interact and be influenced by slicers for a table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do by row here, okay, and do an open bracket, and I'm going to do it based on the sales data. It can be any of the columns, right? So sales data, open bracket, and I'm going to choose the month, hash there, and close that square bracket, right? And then the function that I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring in the lambda function. And then with the lambda function, I'm going to declare what represents the by row for this data. So I'm going to do my row with an uppercase R. I'm going to do comma, and then I'm going to do subtotals. So subtotal there, and I'm going to do count A, right? So I'm going to do count A there on subtotal, and then I'm going to do comma, my row, yeah, is here. I'm going to close the bracket on subtotal. I'm going to close the bracket on the lambda, and I'm going to close the bracket on the by row, like so, and then I'm going to hit return. And nothing's changed here. If I now select Bill, you'll notice everything's changing. If I select the widget, everything changes now accordingly. So there you go. So using that by row with the lambda function, the subtotal function, this is now truly dynamic. And let's try adding another month in. So I'm going to unhide one of my sheets. So let's bring June in. Yeah, so I'm going to right click on a tab, do unhide, and let's bring June in to simulate bringing in more data. So I'm going to change this to a table. I'm going to do Control T, which is a shortcut. I'm going to say it has headers. I'm going to give it appropriate names. I'm going to call this table June, like so. And then if I go to my summary here, and I do data, refresh all data, and there you go, it's added June. And again, it's all dynamic with the slicers. Wonderful. So now let's look at pivot by and see how that works. So again, let's do it here in the summary, and again let's make sure it interacts with the slicer. So I'm going to do equals pivot by. So my row fields are going to be so let's go type sales data. I'm going to do open square bracket. It's going to be the month, which is that date field. In fact, no, let's do it by widget. Let's do widget, and we're going to do so by widget in the same way that we did in the previous video. And then my column fields are going to be the months. So let's do sales open square bracket, and let's use the month date as in the date. Close that bracket. So those are the going across the top. So we've got the widgets going down by rows, and then we've got the column headers going across. I'm going to do comma for the next argument, and the value is going to be sales data. I'm going to do open bracket, right, and this time it's going to be units sold we want. So I'm going to select that and then close the bracket and do comma. Again, we're going to do a sum. I'm going to do comma again. I'm going to do 0. I don't want the headers. Comma. I want grand total, so I want a grand total by the bottom. So I'm going to do grand total there. as far as my row total. And then my row sort order, let's just do that by ascending by the column 1. My column depth, I don't want any total, so I'm going to do 0 there. And then as far as my column sorter order, I'm going to do it. I'm going to skip that one because I don't need it. And then my filter array again is going to be by row. I'm going to do sales data there. I'm going to do open bracket and again use the month. Same principle here. And then I'm going to do, so by row sales data, and then going to do lambda. My parameter is going to be my row, which represents each of the rows. So my row is going to be the parameter there. And then as far as the next piece is going to be the subtotal. Like so, I'm going to do count A again, do comma, and then the function I'm going to do here, as in the reference, sorry, is going to be my row. So I'm going to select that from the drop down. I'm going to close the bracket on the subtotal. I'm going to close the bracket on the lambda, and I'm going to close the bracket on by row, and I'm going to close the bracket on pivot by. And I'm going to hit return. Boom. And there we go. So I've already got some conditional formatting here. I just need to do something with this here. So if I go across the right, all I'm going to do again is do Control 1. I'm going to do date, custom, and I'm just going to make that 4 M's. 1, 2, 3, 4 for a long date number. Do OK. Wonderful. And now, if I filter on bill, look at that. Brilliant. Yeah. And again, if I add some data here, so let's add another one, simulate adding another month. So if I right click on the tab, unhide, let's bring in July this time, turn it into a table, do Control T, give it a meaningful name, TBL, July, return. Let's go to my summary. Let's do data, refresh. And there's July added, and July's been added up there as well. And I can do some other formatting here just to make this so it grows. Do Control 1. Let's just make that number have separators and no decimal places and do OK. And that all looks a lot better. But yeah, there you go. Group by and pivot by. And I hope you found that informative and useful. And I've thrown in a little trick with the slicers as well. But again, very powerful. So have a play with that at home, and it will be coming to your workplaces. And you know, the world is your oyster. The things that we can do now is amazing with Excel, and long may they keep coming, these new functions. Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, even though my throat, and I apologise for my throat. But if so, please click that like, subscribe, and smash that notifications button for future content. And as always, I wish you an absolutely wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Please take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video from Change, Tips and Tools. Bye bye now.